Hi, I'm Snen, and welcome to episode 2 of my devlog working with the Bevy game engine. So I want to talk about two major themes today. Basically, there's been some follow-up work from last episode on Cricket Pong, getting it to a bit more releasable of a state. And I also put a new prototype up on my lab website. If you remember last time, I showed a little bit my website, lab.snen.dev. I call it the lab. It's where I post I'm starting to post my work in progress projects. And there's a new game up there, one that I actually had built a while ago, and that with the Bevy 011 update and with some new sort of structural things I've been doing with my website and things like that, it just needed a bit of a refurbishment, a little bit of a revitalization, and now it's up there. So we'll get to that a little bit later. I've also been working on a good amount of networking code for Cricket Pong, as well as I guess it's really general stuff, but Cricket Pong is sort of the sandbox I'm using to get it all working right. If you've worked with even a high-level networking library before, you know there's a lot of machinery to get just right, especially when you're dealing with things like physics. So that stuff is going to take a little while longer, and I'm not going to talk about it in this video just yet, but more to come there, so stay tuned. So getting right into it with the update for Cricket Pong, there were basically three things that I did, and all of them were meant to contribute to a little bit more of a complete feel, making the game a little more playable. So the first thing, and perhaps the most impactful thing, is I added an actual GameOver state and a little panel that would show up when the game is over. So basically, each game of Cricket Pong is now 2 overs. So each side gets effectively 6 bowls of the ball from the fielding side, and 6 strikes at the ball from the batting side before the game is over. And then it shows this little menu that says, hey, here's the winner, was everyone's score, and go back to the main menu when you're ready to. So that's nice. I was really happy to have that done. I think it's a nice sort of, bit of closure, I guess, for me, seeing the game actually have an ending. That did require a bit of refactoring, some sort of system bugs, some little minutia crept out of the woodwork there, and there were a couple other improvements I wanted to make along the way. So if you take a look at the repo, there's a decent number of changes, but overall it's not too much really changed from an overall systematic perspective. We just added a couple of states and added a few things here and there. The other update that I made that has a pretty sizable impact is that I spent some time optimizing the WebAssembly bundle for size. I didn't talk about this much last time. I did mention that it's a WebAssembly bundle, but basically the way that this gets actually served to users, the way that my Bevy game ends up on the web, is we compile it through Cargo to a WebAssembly target, and then I use WASM BindGen, this special Rust WASM tool, that helps build JavaScript bindings, making it really easy to, just sort of slap your WebAssembly file into some HTML and make it work, right? Basically, the way that my lab is set up, it takes the output of that WASM BindGen whatever process, which has that output is basically a WebAssembly file and a JavaScript file. And then we import the JavaScript file, and that JavaScript file imports the WebAssembly bundle, and the WebAssembly bundle targets a canvas with a specific ID on the HTML. So that's really cool, but before this optimization process, that WASM binary was 35 or so megabytes. It was really, really big, way too big for the web. Not necessarily unheard of if you've been on itch, but certainly larger than I'd like it to be. So using WASM opt, which is a tool that the sort of ecosystem around WASM BindGen, the Rust WASM book, it recommended this tool, and using it, I was able to shave 20 megabytes off of my build. So went from 35 megabytes to around 15 and a half, something like that. I tested a few optimization levels and saw it worked best for me to get that to happen. And while the end result is in my Makefile toml, if you go and take a look at the repository, you should see it there. I should also mention that with gzip compression, this gets a little better. Actually, it reduces it again by sort of half. I think right now, if you go on the lab, you should be able to see it. It says here file size and then actual data transferred. That's because my website is served with Dino Deploy, and Dino Deploy automatically handles gzipping all file types that can be safely gzip compressed. So that's a really nice thing for I guess, not making load times obscenely long. This is, even with all this stuff, still pretty large for a web asset, but we're making do. I'm happy to have reduced a good 20 something megabytes off the size. I'll also say Dino Deploy and Fresh, the island architecture web framework I'm using. All that stuff is really cool, but probably better topic for another video. I'll leave some links below if you're curious about them. Now that the game has like a game over screen, and also now that the file size is a lot smaller, I took the time to edit the itch. So this is my itch page for the game. It's called Cricket Pong, and you can see it's running just fine. I've got this little how to play section, a bit more of a description, which actually I added this how to play on the website as well, which I think was much needed. So yeah, that's about it for Cricket Pong, but very exciting. So there was more I wanted to talk about today. I have this basically a chess variant that I've put up on my lab. I mentioned before that's the new one I was talking about. I already drew up a lot of the doodles for it to explain sort of the game design incentives and where I'm coming from in terms of its design, just like I did for Cricket Pong in the last episode. But as I started to kind of go through taking the takes for it, I realized that there's actually quite a lot to explain. So I figure I'll leave that for next time and not make a 20-minute video on that just yet. But yeah, if you've come this far, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it as always. Feel free to let me know what you think in the comments, and give me a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Take care now. Catch you next time. Bye.